Hi guys, welcome back to another Facebook Live on the Mirror Mums page. We hope you are enjoying watching these as much as we're enjoying making them. This is our third one so far. We've done two previous with parenting experts talking about first aid and tantrums. If you haven't seen those, feel free to go back to the video tab, have a watch. We're changing things up a bit today and we're going to be a bit more informal, having a fun chat with Katie, who you might know online as the Tradie Wife. And hi, also the founder of the Shit Mums Club on TikTok, which is a super lovely parenting community. She's got over 200,000 followers on there, where she is celebrating kind of the reality of parenting, the nitty gritty, like every day, good, bad. And we're going to be getting into that and discussing kind of mum guilt, the pressure to be a perfect parent. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Hi, Katie.
Hi, yeah, you okay?
How are you doing?
Good. We've got an unexpected guest, Rue, as well.
Totally adds to the subject. So you are a mum of two, I think.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and I've got stepkids too.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've built this amazing community space online for parents. Kind of how do you want to tell a bit about how you got into doing that? Why you do it?
So it started on a bit of a whim. I just kind of put a few videos up, just like being myself and talking about parenting and saying like, oh, this bit's hard or this bit's hard. And then I had really good feedback of mums being like, oh my God, it's so nice to see this. This is like a reflection of my day-to-day life. Sorry.
You're all right, don't worry.
Yeah. So you want to be in the camera, don't you? And then I was like, oh, she loves it. Right, no, don't touch it. And then I started the mums club just kind of kicked off, and it's been great. I enjoyed it because I've got a lot off my chest as well, so it's good.
That's good. So I guess something you talk about on there a lot is kind of the idea of mum or dad parenting guilt in general, and kind of the pressure to be perfect and how so many parents feel like they're not doing a good enough job. Is this kind of, well, I'm sure it is something you've kind of experienced. Can you tell us a bit about how you've dealt with that feeling?
Yeah, I think everybody like if you've got children, I think it's kind of universal. Everyone experiences that like mum guilt or dad guilt. And it's always the pressure you put on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure on mums at the moment and dads, and it can get overwhelming. And I do like experience mum guilt myself quite a lot, whether it's just day-to-day life, what I'm feeding the kids, if I'm having a bad day myself, you kind of put that pressure on yourself to be like, you're not doing the best. When you are doing the best, what you can that day, but it's the guilt all the time, and loads of different things have the added guilt, whether it's if you breastfed or you formula fed, loads of stuff, and mum and dad guilt, loads.
Yes. So when you're kind of feeling that way, how do you kind of take a step back and remind yourself that actually you are doing your best, and it's just kind of you're in that kind of mood, and how do you get out of that space?
So I'm trying to play with this. Oh, sorry, even have a broken laptop. You talk on that one. I find that self-care has been one of my big ones, and it's took me a long time to figure out and realise that I need to take time for myself, because a lot of the mum guilt would be like, if I do something for myself, whether it's go for food with my friends and the children are like with their dad or with the grandparent, I'll feel guilty then that I'm not with them and not caring for them, which I feel a lot of mums get, is like you want a break from the kids, but as soon as you get that break, that's when the guilt kicks in. And what I found is to start just really appreciating that time and say to myself, right, you're going to go do something for yourself. You deserve something for yourself. You do a lot for you and your family. And it's important that, mentally I'm having that break and having that refresh. And feeling good about myself. Otherwise, I'm not going to be good enough for my kids or good enough for my family, because I'm wearing myself down all the time. So
Yeah.
I really started to give myself a break and say, no, you deserve this break, and speak a bit kinder to myself than I would have in the past.
No, great. And do you think, obviously you're on social media to kind of show the reality, but I imagine social media has had such an impact on also kind of making people feel guilty. You see kind of these perfect snapshots of people's lives that maybe aren't true. Like, how has that had an impact on maybe you, other parents? Because I'm sure you talk to a lot of mums. Like, I'm sure you're hearing firsthand.
What I found is, because of the pandemic and everybody being locked in and not having many social interactions, and a lot of things like the baby clubs and things like meeting up with your friends and going to the parks and things like that was all stopped for a long time. And a lot of us have used social media as our social life, because that's all we've been able to do. And I think it's made a real impact on mothers, especially new mothers that have had lockdown babies, is that all they're seeing is this image all the time. And then what that's doing then is giving them this standard they've kind of got to reach to. And Rue was only a couple of months old when we went into lockdown. It was the first time I was breastfeeding with her, and I was struggling at some parts, but all the information I was getting online is, oh, it's lovely, it's brilliant, you should be proud of yourself to breastfeed, you shouldn't, women can't do it, some women can't do that. And then I'd feel guilty then for feeling tired or feeling worn out from breastfeeding, because I should just be grateful that I can do it. And that was like the portrayal online with a lot of things. And I know that's a big pressure for mums these days, is especially the new mums that have literally just had babies in this lockdown. They've had one of the worst birthing experiences that any of us could have had, because they can't have partners and things. And then they're brought into this reality online, which is fake, completely not a standard that anyone's living up to every day.
Yeah, definitely. It must be so difficult. But as we say, you've built this kind of mums club up on TikTok, and kind of, how does that feel to be a part of that? Like,
I'm enjoying it. It gets overwhelming sometimes, because I'm just a mum myself, so I'm like, my word's not gospel. If you know what I mean, like, I'm just saying my experience. Everyone's got their own experiences, but the support's amazing, because there's still stuff these days that I don't know everything, and I'm definitely not a perfect parent. So when it comes to things like I need help with, and then I'll ask the mums and I get that feedback from the mums, it's a nice non-judgment like area. You can say whatever and no one's going to call you out and say, well, I do it this way and you're wrong for doing it that way. Everyone's really kind on there, and it's nice to have.
That's so nice, because obviously the internet can be such a judgy, unkind place sometimes. So it's so nice that you've created a space that's completely free of that.
Yeah, there's a little corner of the internet where we're not going to shout to you if you feed them chicken nuggets, all right?
Chicken nuggets. What kind of other pressures do you think parents are facing at the moment? I mean, we've come out of lockdown, like, in terms of, as well as social media and the other perfects, like, are there other things that you think that parents think they have to be kind of on top of, and that's making it stressful, that actually it doesn't really matter? I don't know if that question made sense. It made sense in my head.
Yeah, the cleaning. So as mums will know, and dads, like, I'm not going to say dads don't clean, but do you know, when you're the person that's taking care of the home and you're also looking after the children, it's really overwhelming. And there's always this standard of, like, your house needs to look like you've walked into DFS. And it's not the reality with kids. And I always say to mums, like, as long as your house isn't, chemical wasteland, a bit of mess is fine. It doesn't need to be completely organised, because there's a lot of that trending online at the moment with, like, people having immaculate fridges and cupboards and pantries. Yes, that's what you're into.
The hinching and all sorts.
Yeah. Some people enjoy it, and that's like their hobby, and I get that. If that's something you're into, you're into.
Yeah.
But it's not for the other mothers who are like, well, I can't organise this, and I can't, it's stressful, it's hard, it is hard and stressful. And if you're not enjoying doing it, which most of us don't enjoy doing, is cleaning,
no,
then no one thinks, like, well, I know some people do, but no one goes, oh, what am I going to do today? I have a big clean. It's going to make me feel amazing. It's okay to have, like, I've shown on TikTok, clean a pile washing. Yeah. Clean a pile washing on my dining room table, which for a reality, that's what dining room tables are used for in most homes. Yes. You know, and don't put pressure on yourself to have the house that when the Queen comes to visit, she'll be happy. Because if you're going to have anyone into your home that's going to be horrible to you because of your home, you don't want to let them into your house.
No,
you have.
She's so cute.
She's the thing off. Right. On. Right, sorry. Little hand.
And while we're on the subject of kind of the pressure to be a perfect parent, in the news recently, there's been a lot on parents doing the school run. There was a school that complained about parents dropping their kids off in their pajamas, not making an effort. I just was curious what you thought of that. I feel like that's something maybe you discuss on your TikTok, like mum.
I haven't actually, but I have heard this a lot, and I know as long as the kids are dressed, ready, and going to school,
that is the most important part.
So, you know, if you've got about 6 kids, and I know people say, well, it only takes 2 minutes to change your clothes, but if it means 2 minutes of you running in a car and they're getting there on time and the kids are all good and you've made that last 5-minute pack lunch or found the socks that they've taken off, you know, I'm not going to stand there and go, oh, she's in her pajamas, because I'd be like, Joe, I wish I could roll out of bed in my pajamas some morning. What's the matter? I know. No. I'll take a very bossy one. This one.
I think that's kind of all the questions I had. Have you got anything you wanna add about kind of your space, or any messages you think would be really important for parents who are maybe experiencing mum guilt at the moment, not feeling so great?
Well, I shared something earlier, and I posted it on my Instagram. Yes, your advice is zero, sweetie. Come here. Sorry, we're editing terrible too, so if I stop her from doing anything.
She's going to be a TikTok star herself one day, because she loves
I think she loves the camera. Right, one minute. Basically, there's a bloke and he said, nobody's parenting right, because if there was a right way to do it, there'd just be one manual. So just remember that. There's thousands of books on how to parent. So don't feel like you're doing it the wrong way, because there is no right way. And don't judge yourself too much. Yeah.
I think that's
Do you have anything to say, Ruth, to add to that? Don't turn it on. Oh.
Yeah, well, okay. Thank you so much for joining us today, both you and Rue. It was really cute to see her. And yeah, if anyone wants to hear any more about Katie's life, obviously you can follow her on Instagram at the Tradie Wife, the Mums Club TikTok. And thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. We'll be back, I'm sure, with more Facebook Lives next week. And all there.
I'll see you soon. Thanks, Courtney.